Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast. I am Steve Valtician, Director of Client Partnerships here at Pacific Cascade Legal, and I'm here with our founding attorney, Louis Landerholm, to talk about how baseball is like divorce. You need to keep your eyes on the ball. Louis, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great. We did a Facebook Live analogy before, and I think it really works because I think baseball, it sounds weird, and divorce have a lot in common. And one of them is keeping your eyes on the ball. Um, I say that and I think of Bill Buckner and the air and how it all went wrong. Just for 1 second, you take your eyes off the ball. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what does it even mean keeping your eyes on the ball in a divorce? And is that kind of like keeping focus?
I mean, I think it can mean a number of things, but I think especially from the divorce process, it's a much longer process than people anticipate.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think is really important for parties in a divorce to really think through what are your goals at the beginning of the divorce? What are you trying to accomplish? Are what are your most important things? What are your must-haves? Things that you can give up, things that you would like to have, but you're okay. It's we could also analogize it to buying a house, right? You've got your have to haves, your would like to have, and then it would be nice, but I'm okay if I don't have them, right? Same type of thing. So getting those priorities and getting those goals from the beginning helps you as you're going through the divorce process, remember and remind yourself why you're doing certain things. If the kids are your number one focus, then as we're going along through the divorce, if something comes up and it starts to stray from what your number one goal is, let's move back towards what the goal and the focus is, so that way remember this is why you're doing this. Or if it's I really want to be able to maintain the house afterwards. Sometimes in order to get what you want, you have to give up something else in order to get that. We trade things all the time. And so it's just a matter of what are the priorities, how do we go accomplish those priorities, and start to work through that process so that people really feel like they went into it knowing what they were shooting for, and were able to come out with as many of those things as possible.
Yeah. You mentioned the house, and I think that's really, really an important thing to think about because, I mean, I think I was reading that 75% of divorces in the United States where they get stuck is where someone wants the house. And it can be even when there's other things out there. Everyone thinks the house is the most important thing, it's the most valuable thing, but that's not necessarily true. And especially in the long run. I mean, there are pension plans, there are retirement benefits that can outweigh really the value of the house.
Yeah. And it really depends on, the party's financial situation, because some people will, value the home over anything else. And while homes can be valuable, they also carry huge liabilities with them at times as well. And so if it's not financially viable, to keep the home, sometimes it is best for parties to sell, turn the equity into cash, and be able to move on, so you don't leverage your future for ultimately just the house. The housing market, while it's more stable than other investments, it has its cyclical nature, and you have a mortgage tied to it, depending on what your interest rates and all of these things. So there's more analysis than just, I want to keep the house at all costs, because at some point the cost could be too high.
Yeah.
So trying to keep an open mind also and be able to, just understand this is really what's in my best interest, and getting some financial experts involved helps to do that. But ultimately, if that's where, you really decided, like, I really want to keep the house, or I really want to keep something, then as we're going through the negotiating process, just reminding yourself, okay, this is why I'm doing this. Maybe I am willing to trade, some retirement. Maybe I am willing to trade more spousal support to get the house. Maybe I am, there's all these different decisions that come up, to be able to, get exactly, what you're looking for.
And I love you bring that up. There's sort of the here and now, and then the future, like you said, because I remember talking to you once, and you said, we talk about people's goals with our clients, not just their goals for, the end of the divorce, but their goals 25 years from now. I mean, it's tough to balance, what's going to be your goal then and what's your goal now, but you really have to kind of try to do it.
Yeah, especially for, the parties who, especially like stay-at-home moms or somebody who's been out of the workforce for a while. There's a lot of risk in exiting, a marriage where you have two incomes in most cases, or one that you relied on. And really thinking through and making decisions is really important. Being able to, like you said, keep your eye on the ball, keep your eye on that goal, and what your ultimate, priorities are, become really important as we move through the process.
Yeah. Yep. And like you said, you know, making goals are really important, but as you were alluding to, you really do need to prioritize them because things are going to come up
Yeah, all the time.
all the time. One of the things that I know can take your eye off the ball is the emotional side of the divorce, where you can go from being very, I'm right here, I'm good, I'm on track, this is what I'm not going to let myself, lose. And then something happens and it's like, okay, we're going to do this. So that's
Yes.
hard.
And we see it a lot for the last three things, right? Like we've made an agreement on 100 things, on 97% of all of the different issues. The last 3% or the last three issues become the most heated issues out of anything, whether it's the flower pot, or whether it's the personal property, or whether it's that last particular hurdle to get over, are the most emotional ones, because like all the emotions get pointed directly to that last issue. And so, to finally reach the finish line is, it does take some work. But again, trying to remember why this is happening, the things that people did get, because everybody comes out of divorce feeling like that they gave more than they wanted to. That's the nature of negotiations most of the time. The nature of life is that nothing's ever going to be 100%. And so trying to remember, like, okay, I got 97% of the things I wanted, or I really hoped for. Do we really want to keep fighting for that last 3%? Because having a more balanced and respectable relationship after the divorce, there's value there too, especially if you have kids, because you're still going to be around this person that you're divorcing.
That's incredibly good advice. It sometimes feels like, I talk with people because I also will talk to them sometimes in the middle of the trial, and they're entering, what I call divorce fatigue. And
Yeah.
it's almost like I just want to get this over, I'll just do whatever. And that's something you really got to fight against, isn't it?
Yeah, and we talk to our clients about, part of our job is to help them keep their eye on the ball so that they don't give something up that really was one of their top goals, because of the fatigue. And totally understandable because it is a long process. Does feel like you're getting beat up at times because just the way the process is meant to be a long, arduous process to help to force agreement and just from the timing of everything. But it's also such an important thing at the when you come out of it that we want to protect our clients' interests and help them not just give up something that they really wanted, just to get to the finish line. It's one thing if you give it up because it makes sense and and you do want to get to the finish line. Okay, that makes sense. But if it's one of those top must-have priorities, our job is to help our clients really think through, and is this really what they want to do, so that they don't come out of it because we don't get to go back. An Oregon property division is non-modifiable. So once a decision's made and that judgment is signed, that's the answer, and we don't get to go back and get a second bite of the apple.
Yeah. It seems like another thing that a lot of uh, people getting divorced or preparing for divorce uh, don't understand is that it can be complex, and there are things that need to get done, and there's no way around a lot of them. Um, for instance, you have to reveal all your assets. You have to reveal your income. You have to do all of these things that can sort of take a person away from that ultimate thinking about that ultimate goal, going, why do I have to do this? Which is why, again, I really love when you first talk to clients, you kind of go through that. This is why it's important. It's not just do it because I say so.
Yes, the discovery process is what Steve's referring to is in most cases the longest part of a case. It's the gathering of documents because we have to, it's not enough to say to a judge, I want this to happen. We have to be able to prove to the judge that that's what exists so that the judge can say this can happen. And so both parties have to give us a lot of documentation for bank accounts, for credit cards, for all of these things. And it's not fun. It's not a fun process at all. It's a long part of the case, but it's the most necessary part of a case because if we can't present it to the court can't give it to us, and so we have to be able to have the backup and the level of proof to then go to a judge and get that order.
Yeah. The ease of taking your eye off the ball, of losing kind of where you are in the case it's pretty easy and it can happen. But there are some certain things I know that you talk about to people about, like don't do these kind of things. If your spouse, starts ranting against you on social media or to your family and friends, I mean, getting caught up in that, there are ways, aren't there, that you can try to keep yourself firm and things just don't do these things.
Yes, there's definitely some of those rules, like don't take to social media, don't withhold children. Those are some really good ones that judges get really mad about. Those are some key sort of don't do. Don't try to transfer property out of your name into your family's name because guess what? We can find it, and judges don't like that. And so we want to get in front of a judge and be able to be the reasonable party to say, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what happened in the divorce. If you're, doing these things and making it more difficult for the other side, number one, a judge can rule against you on certain things, but also then order that you pay some of the attorney fees of your soon to be ex. So there's really specific reasons why we don't want to do certain things, and why we advise not to do them, because it either comes in the form of, a judge, they've got to make tough calls. And if one party is going to be, unreasonable and not work with the other party, that's an easy way to slant away from custody from that person. And then vice versa, if you're doing things with trying to hide money and trying to, keep it from the other person and play games, then a judge will more easily award attorney fees for the other party.
Yeah. And like Bill Buckner, that one error that, you say, well, I'm just not gonna show my attorney this. That one error can lose the game. I mean,
Yeah.
so it really does make sense. And my kind of last analogy on baseball and divorce is that baseball players work with their coach and are trained to keep their eye on the ball. And they have a coach who helps them do that. And it sounds like in a divorce, the attorney kind of takes on that role. And that's what you guys do. You use your experience and all of your knowledge to train them, to teach them how to not take their eye off the ball. And it really feels like that is a big part of coming to attorneys who are willing to do that and do it well, like you guys.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of our role. It's the people think of attorneys as, our job is to go into court and argue, but especially in a divorce, we're likely only going to go to court one time. That can be 1 or 2 days out of a year's worth of representation. So I mean that's less than 1%. It's 0.3% of the time that we're actually in court. The rest of the time we're coaching, we're working through the day-to-day issues with clients, trying to help them, work through the divorce, because it saves them money and gets them the best possible outcome. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of times, coaching people through that is the name of the game, and that's what we do.
Yep. And I know that you encourage your clients to reach out if they are confused, if they do have a question, if they do say, hold up, why am I doing this? Because they're not doing this every day, and so they don't know the best practices.
Right.
Well, again, great information. I really do like the analogy of divorce and baseball being alike, especially on keeping your eyes on the ball, because that's what makes for a successful game and a successful divorce, if there's such a thing.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, that's another one we can do is, what is success? What is winning one day?
Right.
And so, but thank you for joining us today. It was really great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you. And anyone else, again, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching our show. Anyone with further questions, please feel free to contact our firm. We can get you connected with an attorney who can help you and stay